Hey guys, my name is Lisa and this is my husband Peter, and we are foster parents and I make weekly videos about foster care, so make sure to subscribe if you are not already. As you know, this summer we took 2 months and we ended up doing respite, and we did respite for 18 different kiddos. And the last group that we had said yes to was 4 teenage girls. And we wanted to talk about that experience and how that all went.
So I've been telling Lisa for a while, all right, it's time to, we had 3 younger kids for 2.5 years, and we're like, okay, it's time to, embrace the challenge of the next stage. So take on the teenagers.
And I was super nervous about it, for sure, but we'd already at this point done 2 other teens earlier in the summer, but just single, 1 teenager at a time. And so this was a little bit more, taking 4 in at once, but overall it went awesome.
Yeah, so we were really glad we got to experience that over the summer, is kind of dip our toes into it with short-term placement before deciding for sure what to do next for long-term placements.
And as far as respite go, they were with us the longest out of any respite that we had over the summer. They were with us for several weeks, and so we did end up getting into a bit of a routine with them. And so we kind of just want to talk about what our days looked like with them, some of the challenges that we had, as well as some of the really great moments.
So at first we did try to kind of play it loosey-goosey, like not have as much structure or as many rules to kind of let them feel at home and comfortable. That kind of bit in the butt a little bit later. It's better to just start with whatever your rules are going to be for everything, including devices. More on that later too. Because if you don't, then if you try to change the rules later, it can be pushed back on pretty hard, which is kind of understandable. You're changing things and nobody likes change.
And we do have like our normal house rules, that we went over, like no harsh, no disrespectful talk, and listening the first time. And those are our 3 that we've always had. And so we did review those right away. But as we learned with older kids, we needed to make some more rules on like devices. Like that was probably one of the biggest conversations that we had back and forth with them, because it was really sad to see just like how much time was spent on devices. And so we wanted obviously time like together, but more so, time for them to teach them interacting with other people and social skills. And so we will make another video separate about like what we did and like what we like found that worked okay, but we also definitely need some more advice in that area.
And more practice.
And more practice.
It just takes time to figure out what works, and every kid's different, of course, too.
Yep. So one of the really fun things that we got to do while the girls were here is to go to Holiday World. And Holiday World is a theme park here in Indiana, and it is awesome that they have partnered with DCS, and they allow every foster child 1-day entrance free into this awesome amusement park. Like
per year.
Yeah, per year. And it's like $65 to get in, so it's a really amazing theme park.
So one of the girls actually knew that this was a free deal, and so they asked if we could go to Holiday World, which we've wanted to go to Holiday World for a long time, just haven't made it happen yet. Foster
kiddos get in free, but the foster parents don't, so we were going to pay for our tickets.
You did get a discount.
But you get a discount.
It's like $5 or $10
yep.
off.
And when we got there, though, somebody had a extra group card that they did not need, and they gave me that admission ticket. So that was really cool. So we only had to get 1 ticket for the both of us. And we had set it up with the girls ahead of time because we knew that there are yummy treats there and they're gonna want to get food. And so we said, like, we will pack sandwiches, and anything else that you guys want, you guys are gonna get a budget for.
So we gave them each a budget of $40, and at first we were going to give them cash. So we'd actually go and pull out the cash, and we're going to hand it to them. And then we looked online, and I noticed that they actually went cashless, I think just this year.
Yeah.
So that meant I just had to keep track in a note in my phone of how much each person was spending, so I could say, hey, you're out of money, you've spent all your money, or this is how much you have left. And then when we got back, we gave them whatever they hadn't spent, and we said, hey, for as long as you're here, this is going to be your spending money to use however you want. So you can spend it all at Holiday World if you want, whatever you want, food, souvenirs, whatever. Or you can save it and you can buy something from Walmart, or save it for whatever.
Yeah,
hair
so
stuff.
Every
makeup.
girl did it a little bit different. One girl spent most of her money there, and one only got like 1 or 2 things, and so she saved most of it.
One of the really cool things at Holiday World was definitely the drone show at night and
oh my
the
goodness,
fireworks.
it
so
was
fun.
So amazing. It was a very, very long day because it was almost a 3-hour drive from where we are, and so we woke up super early and we pulled in our driveway at like 1 a.m. It was a pretty crazy day. We definitely need a day after to recover, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a really great highlight for the girls.
So when we got back, there were of course some that wanted money for other things, and even though we had set it up as, hey, the expectation is this is all the money we're going to give you, someone else was like, well, I need money for this or that. We had this book that we read through with younger kids, and we're like, this covers some really good general financial principles that are good for a teenager too. So it'd be kind of nice. I don't know. I need to go check and see if there's like a more teen-oriented book, because they kind of smirked a little bit looking at the pictures like this is for younger kids.
Yes.
But the story did connect. The one story talked about how the best place to go when you need money is to work. And so that became our theme. Whenever they asked for money, we're like, hey, where do you need to go when you need more money? And they said to work. And so they're like, well, what chore can I do to earn some money to get whatever it is they wanted to get?
So we created a chore chart of things that we had to do around the house, and we set a dollar amount to it. We went around and gave everyone a fair chance to sign up for it.
Put everybody's names in a basket, and then we drew each person's name. And so they got to pick a chore based on the order, and then they went in reverse of that order for the second chore. So they each got to pick 2. And then if for some reason they decided to not do their chore after all, they could give it up for somebody else to claim if they wanted to.
Now, I will say this was just for like extra things. Like we are going to obviously provide all of their needs. While we had them, it was back to school time. And so a couple of them did need different things, and then when they got here, they realized they forgot socks and things like that. And so I think every single person forgot a toothbrush. I think every person forgot other toiletry items, and we had those. And so this was just for above and beyond, because we would go to Walmart, we'd go there, oh, can I have this snack? Can I have this hair product, or these nails, or different things like that. So it was above and beyond, and so we had them earn money for that. But speaking of books, thank you so much for all of your book recommendations that you left in our last video. I feel like we are so ready for whenever we have another teenage girl placement.
And another point of that whole teaching to earn money to then get whatever you want is so that they learn the value of working and value like whatever it is they bought. Like one of them unfortunately would like get something to eat and then just discard it before he's even done, and didn't really get the sense of like, oh hey, like if you spent time working for something, maybe you wouldn't treat it and just toss it off to the side as quickly. And so you just want to teach that instead of it just constantly being like, oh well, you're an adult, you should give me whatever I want and I don't need it to work. It's like, well, you're actually really close to being an adult, and pretty soon that's not going to work, and you're going to have to go to work instead of just relying on other people to just give you money. One of the fun things of working with teenagers is being a foster parent to teenagers is helping them develop those important skills that are going to help them succeed in life. And one of the things that we ended up doing was having some serious conversations about different things. One of them that we did was to try to paint a positive picture for their future. And so we took some time to kind of point out some different qualities that we saw in each of them and some of the things that they had expressed interest in, and just painted a picture on what they could do with that in the future, and being like, this is totally possible. Your dreams are possible. This house that you want on 5 acres of land is possible. With a wraparound porch, you can do it. But in order to make that dream a reality, you're going to have to work and be disciplined and do well in school. They
were with us for a couple of weeks, and we wanted to just really pour into them during that time.
So as many seats as you can, and connect and let them know they're loved. And we had a great time, playing games with them. One of their favorites ended up being Exploding Kittens. It's a really fun and silly game.
It's a very silly game.
But we also played like Poetry of Neanderthals, Clue, and every time, there's another one, Happy Salmon.
Oh, Happy Salmon, yeah, that's a really fun, fast game.
Yeah, but like every time, we try to introduce a new game, at first there was some resistance, like, I don't really want to do it, I'm not interested, but then we would just sit down like, hey, let's try this. And most of the time, most of the games that we introduced, they loved and like they
Yes.
enjoyed, and it was really cool seeing them interact with each other. We found out that later on that a couple of them hadn't apparently been talking before, but because of being unplugged from the phones and having opportunity to interact through games and different things that we're doing together, they became really good friends, and it was really cool to see that. And we're like, look, this is the point. This is being in your phone is okay to stay connected with other people. I'm getting into this a little bit, but you want to be present wherever you are,
Yeah.
and building a relationship with those that you're around. We would go for almost daily walks outside together, which that it was good. Sometimes they enjoyed it, sometimes they didn't. I think they really enjoyed it more when we had some younger boys that ended up coming too.
Yes.
And then we would go for like scooter, bike, walk, ride.
Yeah,
whatever,
so when I said yes to the 4 girls coming, I knew that I had already said yes to another 2 boys coming, and those 2 boys were both 4 years old, and they were going to be coming for 2 weeks, but their time was going to be overlapped by 6 days. It really kind of just changed the dynamic in the house. Up until that point, school had just started, and so there was just like drama because, I mean, we're talking about 4 teenage girls here, right? So there's going to be some drama. And so there were just some like blow up arguments. But when the boys came along, thankfully they kind of kept that to a minimum because they didn't want to, get into arguments with the boys around. So it actually kind of helped smooth things out in the house a little bit when the boys showed up. It was a little crazy time. The craziest thing was the 6 different kids are actually from 6 different families of origin, and so it was that many different caseworkers and therapists and visit supervisors that I had to talk to, and it was hard to keep all the appointments because they were with us for so long. They were still having their case workers monthly visits here at the house. They were still having therapy sessions. People were picking up for visits. And so it was a lot to figure out all that was going on. And I got a little bit crazy. At one point there was someone who called to tell me that she wasn't able to make it for one of the girls. And I said, oh, that's okay. I hung up the phone and I was like, I don't even remember that she was supposed to come today. So overall it was awesome. But we did also have some challenges. And so there was one time when we were this close to calling the cops. There was another time when we did have to call the DCS hotline and just report an incident that happened. And then, they were like, oh, do you want us to come pick up the child? And I was like, no, I'm just letting you know the caseworker wanted me to communicate this with you, so that's what I'm doing. And so it was we were very much involved with talking to the caseworkers and all of that. So our other respite that we had throughout the summer, I don't think I talked to any of their other caseworkers. But this one, because they were with us for such a long period of time and there were things going on, start of school, there was orientation, there was just a lot going on, so we communicated.
And because the teens had their phones, they were actually wanting to talk to their case manager
Yes.
for pretty often, every day.
Yes.
Which was kind of crazy. So that was something that we weren't necessarily expecting or didn't really think of, but yeah, there was a lot more communication just because the teens had a device and wanted to talk to their managers about different things at different times.
Yes, yeah. So it was sometimes, it was threatened when we did something that they didn't like. They're like, I'm just going to call and tell my caseworker. I'm like, okay, you can do that. So they're just they're trying to pit, 2 parents against each other. Now you have this other party and they're just like, well, I'm just going to go tell my caseworker. And you're like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, definitely.
And it's great whenever the caseworker gets on the
and
phone and the caseworker's like, yeah, and here's the reason why they did that. And I back them on that. We're all on the same team. And so,
Yeah, and there was one time though when the caseworker was adjusting something that we didn't want to do in our house, and I was able to say, our house rule is that the devices will get turned in at 10 p.m. And so she was like, oh, okay. So she was trying to give pushback on that, and I was like, no, this is our house rule because you as a foster parents do have that right. And so it's important to know what your rights are so that way you're not this other person isn't going to control, what happens in your house. But it is good to let the kids in your care know that you are all on the same team, that you're all supporting them. It was really funny. We set up a Google mini home what's it called?
Google Home Mini.
Google Home Mini. There you go.
Google Nest. I don't know.
In their rooms.
Keep changing the name.
And it was so funny because there was one time when one of the girls said she was going to take a shower and she hadn't gone in the shower yet. And so I like typed the broadcast message from my phone and like said her name and said, have you gotten in the shower yet? And they just started busting up laughing, and they were like, how did you do that? And it was fun to be able to use technology. And then they had that for their alarms as well. And also some noisemakers. They liked rain sounds. So they had it playing rain sounds the whole night. You know, one of the girls, she really liked, you wanted to have like night lights and wasn't really afraid of the dark. But you know the situation these kids are coming from, and so night lights are a great thing to have in your home as a foster parent, whether you have little kids or older kids as well. A couple other random things. So yes, they all loved their headbands. The very first day, as soon as they saw that in the bathroom, they each took their favorite color. Even before I even showed them that was there, and then we did facials together. And then no one used the bath bombs that I had. And then that microphone device, the girls didn't want to use, but when the boys came, they were really excited about it. And then the girls didn't want it because the boys were just like, ah! I had to like limit the boys. It was like 5 minutes a day for you guys. After we were done filming, I realized there were some things that I forgot to share about the time the girls were with us that I wanted to insert here. One of those was before we went to Holiday World, I looked up some games that were good to do while we were in line, because I knew that sometimes when you're in line waiting a long time, it can just seem like forever. And two of those things, one was charades, and another one was this app called Out of the Loop. And it is such a fun game. You insert whoever is playing, and one person's out of the loop, but they have to pretend like they know what is going on, and you ask questions. And it was super fun. We actually ended up playing this more after Holiday World because the longest lines we had to wait in were for the water park rides, and I didn't have my phone in those lines. So we played a lot after, and we were like, you know, after lunch, Peter would join us for lunchtime on his lunch break, and then they would want to get like a round in with him before he went back to work. And it was a fun game. So definitely if you have like teenagers and you find yourself like waiting for certain things, or just a quick game that you can do on your phone, Out of the Loop is definitely a good one. Other thing is, I had got an every plate box for when the girls were here, and I love those recipes because you can just, you know, all the ingredients come that you need, you just follow a recipe, and I had each girl pick a recipe that they wanted to cook with me, and then they made those with us, and so I took turns with each girl one-on-one. And it was really good because some of them just didn't really have the confidence for cooking. And I remember when I was that age, and I was in 8th grade, I was actually kicked out of my kitchen for the rest of the time that I was in my house. I set the kitchen on fire during that time. That's a story for another time. But a lot of these girls just weren't given the opportunity, and I had to learn a lot on my own after I got married and like get the confidence in the kitchen. Now I absolutely love cooking, and by the way, I do not blame my mom for kicking me out of the kitchen. She had every right to do that, but it was just something that some of these girls just haven't had the experience being in the kitchen, and so it was good. One girl ended up cutting herself with a knife, and so it was one of those things where I was right there, and I was like, oh, and so there was blood, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have given you a knife to cut, but I thought you were confident. And the thing is, you learn, right, at when you have the experience, and so she learned not to do it, and I also learned, don't give her a knife, let's help her do the sauteing or something like that instead. So it was a good thing, and even after, I really want to one-on-one for one time, but then later on I was making a meal, and one of them asked, you know, can I help you? And so that was really cool that then they would step in to help because they enjoyed it. While they were with us, it was their first day of school, and of course I wanted to take first day of school pictures that they could send to their caseworkers, that they could send to their parents or other family members, and so I really wanted to take that. But I also knew that we were about to get up a lot earlier than they had for the summer. And so I bribed them a little bit with Dunkin' Donuts. I said, hey, if we can, get these pictures taken by 6:45, yeah, that's how time had to be taken because we had to leave our house by 7 because I was driving them to a different school district. I said, we'll get Dunkin' on the way to school the first day. And so that's what we did. And that was really fun. And they really liked the pictures. They weren't super excited about taking them. But then Peter did some editing effects to them. And they were just really excited for those. On the way to school each day, I had them put on some essential oils. And it was really funny because I do like having essential oil for almost everything. And sometimes they would get mad about it. They're like, wait, for my upset stomach, you have a oil? And you have an oil for my headache? And I was like, yeah, I can help with that. And it was they liked it and they would use it, but they also get mad that I had it. And at one point they accused us of being hippies for having that, plus for how we handled devices. And that was really funny. I was like, I've never been accused of being a hippie before, but it was just super, super funny. I was like, I'm a hippie? How do you... Anyways, it was really funny. But they really enjoyed having those oils before school and just help them have a good day. And yeah, well, do I think these oils work? Definitely. But I think there's also something psychological about it. And they're like, oh, I put this on, so now I'm gonna have a good day. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you believe, So it was setting them up for success. And yeah, I do know that the oils, when I use oils, they help me too. So anyways, it was good to have those. I got mine from several different places. The ones I was using here, some of them are kids ones, which are good for ages 2 and up, and it's Eden's Garden. I'll put a link in the description below. It gives me $1 off my next purchase if you use that link. Otherwise, you can just go to Eden's Garden and get those. But I really like their oil sets, and the roll-ons are really nice because then you don't have to worry about diluting it. Well, the girls were here. It was my birthday, and Peter made a cake, and then one of the girls helped him decorate it. And that was just super nice and special. And one thing also is we just have amazing friends, and we are so thankful for the community that has stepped up to be part of our village as we foster. When the girls had come to us, we were asking them some of their favorite things to do, and they all said they wanted to go swimming. And we don't have a pool, but I know a couple of friends that do, or have a neighborhood with a pool, and so 2 of our friends were able to help us out and get the girls into their pool. And then another friend reached out to me on a super, super difficult day. There was a lot personally in our lives going on around this time as well. So right as the day before, the girls were going back to school, and then 3 days after that, 2 of my sister-in-laws ended up in critical condition in the hospital for different circumstances. One needed brain surgery, and one had a heart clot. And she is pregnant, and it was really concerning, and still is concerning. She was life flighted to the nearest big hospital that could really handle this. And so all of that was happening, and on the day that my sister-in-law got life flighted, that was a second sister-in-law in a 4-day time period. So when the day she was life flighted, it was also the day we were dealing with something super challenging with the girls. And it was the same day that the 2 boys were coming as well. And I was just completely overwhelmed. One of my friends just reached out to me and was like, how are you doing? And I said, I'm not doing good at all. And she said, please come over to my house tomorrow. And it was going to be on the weekend. And I was like, we are bringing a bunch of chaos. And she's like, it's fine. She has kids as well. And the kiddos got to play with her kids. It was the village, and I'm just so thankful for our friends. And anyways, it was that same friend though. It was funny because one of the girls was complaining about a pimple, and she brought out pimple patches, and I never heard of pimple patches. She let us take the whole package home, and the girls absolutely loved using those. And for those wondering, my sister-in-laws, they are both doing okay right now. And on top of that, I have another sister-in-law who is dealing with incredible chronic pain, and she's also been in the ER in that same like time period that the other two were. So it was just a really crazy time personally while we were taking care of these kids. There was 5 days of like complete and utter just like just craziness. But what it helps me to do is just have complete dependence on God in those situations, because so much of it was out of our control. At the end of the time with the girls, I printed off some pictures from Walmart, printed off about 50 pictures and split it between the 4 of them, and also wrote them each a card and sent that with them, and it was really sweet. Like the one girl, she didn't even look at the pictures at first. She was like poring over the words of the card, and I was just pouring out things that I saw in them, the positive things, and just wanted to encourage them to be able to use those things in their life to move forward. And it was really cool because one girl, she's like, wow, I'm gonna always keep this card. And it did take me a little bit of time to do, but it was so worth it just to see that. Like, she was just like, wow, thank you for these words. And like other girls, they just absolutely love the pictures we printed out. And the reason that we have a brand new Exploding Kittens is because we sent our Exploding Kittens on with them, and they were so excited for that to be able to continue to play at their foster home. So we are just so thankful that we said yes to these girls. One thing that we really got out of respite and doing so many different ages of kids in such a short period of time is that we do want to have our home be school age and up kiddos. We really bonded well with a bunch of the older kiddos that we had this summer, and we also ideally would still love sibling groups, so that way I only have to manage one team of people at a time.
And that said, obviously, if there's, a group of kids that need a home and one of them happens to be younger, we would probably say yes to that too. So.
Probably.
But yeah, trying to get out of diaper stage.
Yeah, diapers and the naps too. Because it was so nice to be able to just like go the whole day at Holiday World and not have to worry about naps. It was great. And thanks so much for watching this video. Please let us know if you have any questions or any other video ideas that you have in the comments below. And we will see you in the next video. Bye guys.